don't see how we can make bigger enemies.
To be offended or frightened of everything.
So you've become like the sort of Tony Scarface of podcasting.
We're alive.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday and welcome to the morning show. Thank you for being here. We missed you last week, so we're back this week.
My fault.
No, it's nobody's fault. Hey guys, head on over to patreon.com/Pantelis for every single episode plus exclusive content. You can also subscribe to this YouTube page. Poseidon over there. You can check him out on all social media platforms. He's got his own website as well. IamPoseidon.com. Is that it? ThePoseidon.com? IamPoseidon.com? IamPoseidon.com. All right. And you can check my stuff out at the Backstage Podcast or Politiquement Parlant if you speak or understand French. Speaking of exclusive content over here on this YouTube platform.
Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe is Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast. And we have one half of the crew over at Standing By, Ted Bird.
Damn right.
We don't have a website, but I'm often on Pornhub.
Do websites...
Not appearing, just watching.
Are websites still a thing? Like, do people still go to websites anymore? I remember back in the day, you had to have a website. That was the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think people go to websites anymore.
No?
I think the first place... I mean, when you want to look something up, aren't you going to go on Facebook or Instagram, or aren't you going to check social media platforms first?
Probably, I do. I usually do.
No, it depends. I usually Google things.
Yeah.
And then if I need a video, I need to be visual, I go on YouTube.
Let's say, for example, I talk to you about, this awesome videographer. Have you seen what this guy does? Are you going to go, let me check if he has a website, or are you going to go check him out on Instagram?
Yeah, I would, for a videographer, for sure, Instagram would be the first place I go. But if I want to learn about him, I would look for a website, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to see his shit, first place I go probably would be Instagram. I just got back on Instagram a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I went off because I couldn't stand how much better everybody's life was than mine. Seriously, what a festival of narcissism.
Yeah, that's the thing about Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. But see, this is the problem. I want to believe that we're old enough and mature enough to understand that a lot of this shit. We saw it.
I'm very emotionally immature.
No, because it's all curated content, right? I mean, you're not gonna post it for the first picture that you have on your phone, right, where you look like a mess. Oh, let me post this on.
But I do.
Yeah, because you're a real person. So a lot of people they go the extra mile to make sure that they're perfect, that the lighting's perfect. They're gonna edit the picture. They're gonna put up there. And you're right. It's a projection of something that very few people actually are. It's okay. Let's just show what people want to see, or the image I want people to see of me. And there's a lot of fluff, you know. So and it's crazy because mostly for the younger generations that are coming on these platforms. They see these things and they think it's reality, right? They're like, oh, look how Kardashians are, or this model, or look what she did, and it's fake, man. It's like, I don't know. I've been messed up recently because there was, I think last week, there was a 13-year-old girl that committed suicide in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu at her school. She jumped, I don't know from what window.
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah.
I saw that on the news and I'm like, oh, damn, stupid kids, man. Who pushed the poor girl off, you know? But then my wife told me, she came into it, and I'm like, what? How does a thought like that cross through a 13-year-old's mind, you know? We have a big problem. Yeah. We have a big problem in our society. We're so exposed to all these things, and obviously bullying now, you carry it with you all day. Yeah. Back in our day, you'd go to school, you get bullied. At 3 p.m., it was done. You went home, it's finished.
Yeah, and usually if you punched the bully in the face, that was the end of it.
Yeah.
He'd back off.
But it would end.
That's how bullies operate.
Yeah, but it would finish. At the end of the school, at the end of the day,
now with social media,
it's all over. It's on you. It's stuck on you 24/7. Really so it's very sad. But more than that, the idea, the fact that a 13-year-old actually thinks that it may, like, I never thought about dying when I was 13-year-old, man. I thought about a bunch of other stupid things. But to think that, okay, the most logical thing right now is for me to take my own life. No. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy, and I think that social media has a lot to do with it.
I think in that case there has to be some underlying mental health issues as well, though.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, for starters, she is a lady. She's a woman.
Too soon, Poseidon.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Want to talk about the gout?
That's uncalled for.
There's what's going on with you?
I got the gout. I got the gout. I got the fucking gout. Yeah. Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night last Tuesday. I couldn't have done the show anyway because I wouldn't have been able to walk in here because my fucking toe hurt so much.
Holy shit. So you're like me. So we're not of the diabetes cloth. We're of the gout cloth.
Evidently so. You're too young, aren't you?
Well, no, I have. My doctor told me be careful for the future. I don't have it or I'm not in risk of getting it anytime soon. But he explained to me that if I'm not careful, I'm going to get it in my 60s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm in my 60s, and I woke up in the middle of the night last Tuesday going, what the fuck is that? My big toe hurt like a motherfucker. And I thought to myself, and it didn't occur to me right away that that's what it would be because I never had that before. And I thought,
that was the first time you got it.
Yeah. Gout. I swam the night before, and I thought maybe I pushed off the wall wrong at the pool and sprained my toe. But then I thought, no, I would have felt that right away.
And it was swollen.
I didn't look really. It was, like I say, it was the middle of the night. I was under the covers. It just hurt like a fucker.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I got to work later in the morning, I thought to myself, oh, fuck, maybe it's the gout because I'd heard of that and that it affects the big toe, right? So I looked it up and sure enough, all the symptoms of the gout. And then I looked at, what causes it. And I thought, well, I eat pretty well. I don't drink alcohol. So I don't know what it is.
It's basically salty diabetes.
Is it? Yeah. Well, it's
uric acid.
Uric acid buildup. Yeah. So maybe I got too much salt in my diet. I don't know, but like I say, I eat pretty well. I got to watch it because I think that might also be the pathway to kidney stones.
Oh yeah.
I think whatever causes the gout, like I think that uric acid thing, I'm talking out of my ass here. I don't know for sure, but if that's the same thing that causes kidney stones, I want no fucking part of that because I've never had them, but anyone I know who has had kidney stones,
as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't want to go there.
Yeah. You know what you should do?
What?
Go to the pharmacy, buy magnesium. Take it daily, 1 every day. Magnesium, bro, is a fucking miracle.
I don't know if we should be taking medical advice from Poseidon.
You don't think Dr. Poseidon is on the right track?
Medical advice. It's like over the counter. It's like vitamin.
Well, magnesium help the gout.
Basically, it helps with all kinds of things.
It's a magic
cure all, the magic elixir.
Yeah.
Well, there are
Step right up, folks. Get your magnesium. It'll fix everything. The panacea, magic elixir, magnesium.
There was a rapper who had a heart murmur. Like what do you call when the heart is it skips
palpitations, arrhythmia. He had arrhythmia, I think, and he started taking magnesium, went away. Oh yeah. So you think it'll work for the gout too?
It's very well. Look, I know for kidney stones it helps because
side effects may include it doesn't work.
I know it helps for circulation, muscle functioning, and what else? Heart. It helps the heart. It helps. You know what? I have a $5,000 machine at my fingertips.
Go on WebMD. That'll tell you.
Magnesium.
I went to the pharmacy that day and asked them, is there anything over the counter that will help with the gout? And the pharmacist said, no. You can get some Advil. That'll help a little bit.
Yeah, it's mostly diet related.
Yeah, but there is an anti-inflammatory medication, but it's prescription.
Okay.
So I've got a doctor coming into my radio show this Friday to talk about men's health, because November is Men's Health Month, I believe. I know it's the month they talk about prostate cancer, right? So he's going to come in, and I'm going to talk to him about that as well. The deal I made with him is you can come on my show, but you got to write me prescriptions for whatever I want.
Yeah, bring your little pad.
So whatever you guys want, let me know after the show today, and I'll hook you up on Friday.
Yeah, what does it say there?
So for gout, there's no direct link that it does help with the gout, but some claim it's good for gout because deficiency of magnesium may worsen chronic inflammatory stress in the body. Though no studies prove this, still a 2015 study showed that adequate magnesium is associated with lower and healthier levels of uric acid, thus potentially lowering gout risk. I was correct.
You know what I say? If you can't beat them, magnesium.
I'm getting ready for a colonoscopy next week.
You ever have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I had one a couple years ago.
I had rectal cancer.
Oh, shit.
That's how they found it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm clean now and have been for like 7 years, but that's how they found it. And I had symptoms for like 7 months, and I couldn't get an appointment. And I told my GP, and he was furious that they made me wait that long. So
What were the symptoms?
blood in the stool.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not that. Well, that's actually kind of scary. Yeah.
I mean, that could be hemorrhoids, right?
Yeah.
It could be any number of things. But in my case, it turned out I had a tumor.
Could have had too many beats.
Could have been, yeah. Stage 3, and the doctor who did the colonoscopy, who found it, came into the recovery room, and he said, we found something, but it's operable, treatable, and curable, and we're going to take care of you. I took him at his word, and they did. Like, that was a difference maker to me, that he inspired such confidence in me that I was going to be okay. I never had any doubt at all. So I went into the treatment with a good mindset. I didn't go in going, I'm going to fucking die.
Yeah.
You know, I went in and said, well, he told me that I was going to be okay.
Chemo you did, or?
Radiation.
Radiation.
And then after the tumor was gone, they put me on 8 rounds of preventive chemo. And after round 6, I said to them, I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any more of these. And the chemo doctor said, well, you did 6 out of 8. That's pretty good. Ted Williams didn't hit 750. So, but holy fuck chemo, man.
Yeah.
Holy Jesus. That knocks the shit out of you. And in my case, what it did to me was every time I shit, it felt like I was shitting razor blades. Oh. So imagine that. And that's at that point I went, no, I don't, it's not fucking worth it. If I was still sick, I would do the last 2 rounds, but I'm not. So no thanks.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, they found a few traces of ulcers in. But
and you're calling it with your colonoscopy?
Yeah.
What's an ulcer?
So it's
like a polyp kind of thing?
No. It's kind of like a gray zone. It wasn't Crohn's and it wasn't colitis. It's kind of like in between, like this ulcerative colitis, like it's called that. So it's like an ulcer in your colon. So. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Good content, eh? Talking about our assholes.
Amazing, yeah. Look, it's Men's Health Month.
Yeah.
So
how's your asshole?
Mine's
Poseidon?
fine, bro.
Yours is good,
I make sure I keep mine clean.
Attaboy.
He shoves the garden hose inside.
Hey, you know what? It's close. I have a bidet.
Nice. Do you really?
I have a bidet, yes.
Good for you.
Thanks to Mike. And actually what happened was I discovered this is my mistake. I discovered that I can clean
you don't drink from this.
No. I discovered that I can clean the inside of my anus with the bidet.
Isn't that what a bidet is for, though?
No, but like I mean the inside. I mean I shoot water.
Okay.
I shoot water up my asshole.
That's
so. What do you got? Like an attachment?
No. No. Well, the first time I discovered, I used it for the first time, and I'm cleaning, and I realized it's because it's a strong stream, right? And I don't have the patience to adjust or whatever, and it just shoots. And it got rid of stuff that was up there for probably
come on,
months.
man. It's the morning show.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Did you find it arousing?
No, actually the opposite happens. My dick shrivels up, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
But dude, the smell.
Okay, dude. Okay, yeah, we're done. We're done.
Yeah, let's talk
We're
about
done. We're done with
something
your ass, bro. Oh my God.
I'm sorry I asked.
Fucking disgusting.
Oh, fuck.
So
There's nobody left watching. Eh?
No,
there's
everyone is
Yeah,
officially
even my
gone.
mom checked out.
Everyone is officially gone. Yeah, so I'm preparing. Today's the first day, so there's this diet that I have to go through, and then in the last 24 hours, you got to take that liquid there.
Pedialytes. Yeah.
Jorge
yeah.
Rosales wrote he shot so hard it made him puke. That's disgusting.
Hey, it's November 22nd, so it's the 60th anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And for my generation, the big thing was, where were you when Kennedy was shot?
Yeah.
I don't have an alibi. But I was 4 years old, so I wasn't on the grassy knoll lining up my shot with my fucking Nerf gun. But I do remember it, even though I was 4. It's one of my first conscious memories. And the reason I think that I remember it so well is because of how upset my parents were.
Yeah.
And we were in the car and we were driving somewhere. We were driving to visit relatives in another city in New Brunswick. And I remember my parents listening to the radio and being quite upset. And then I remember watching on TV the funeral, because I specifically remember John F. Kennedy Jr. and him saluting the soldier standing by.
Yeah, that
his
famous picture.
Yeah. And he would have been about the same age as me. So, and then he fucking died. Boy, that family's had a lot of bad luck.
That whole
eh?
family has
Just
been cursed.
Yeah, one tragedy after the next. But it's interesting to me, the whole where were you when? We were talking about that on the radio show this morning. Every generation has a different one, right?
I think ours was September 11.
Yeah, how old would you have been when that happened?
When was it? 2001?
Yeah.
So I was 20
Okay.
years old. I was in university.
Yeah.
I remember, yeah.
John Lennon was another one. Like, that's another one that I specifically remember, because I was living in an apartment in Toronto, and I came out to take some garbage down to the garbage chute, and I walked by my neighbor's Globe and Mail was sitting on the ground outside on the floor outside his door, and the picture in the headline, John Lennon shot dead. I remember that quite specifically. Princess Diana was another one. Like, that was another real shocker.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me that for my parents' generation, it would have been Pearl Harbor.
Oh, for sure.
But they wouldn't have found out about that probably until the next day, because news traveled a lot slower back then. Right?
Oh, yeah. Plus, there was the time difference. So, because it happened early in the morning over there.
Yeah,
so it was
8 o'clock.
It was
yeah.
late morning
8
on the
o'clock,
East Coast.
8 o'clock in the morning, December 8th. I'm not sure if it was 8. Yeah, it was 8 in the morning there. So it would have been
12, 11.
11.
Yeah.
11
Yeah,
Eastern.
now, would it have been the day before? Would it have been December 8th there, December 7th here?
No, because the day here had already started.
Okay.
So 11 a.m. here, 8 a.m. over there. So they got attacked midday over here.
No wonder they were surprised. Nobody knew what fucking time it was.
That's funny.
What time is it? I don't know. You hear something?
That's funny.
Yeah, Pearl Harbor.
I'm pretty sure the two sailors were having this exact argument the moment they got attacked. What time is
I thought
it?
it was earlier.
What time is it at home?
I thought it was earlier.
Well, in the movie, Tora, 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 which was, I think, the first major Hollywood production reenacting Pearl Harbor, it seems to me that there's a band playing the Star-Spangled Banner, like to ring in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was like 8 in the morning in Hawaii when it happened. So I have no fucking idea what time that was.
Oh, wait, yeah, this was in Hawaii, so hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, there's several times. It's a shitload of time zones away.
Hold on, let me Google this.
Check, man. Don't think. You don't know it. Just Google
If only there was some kind of an electronic information portal that we could consult to see what the time zone differences are.
Yeah, I thought it was much earlier than that. In that movie with, in the more recent one, what's it called?
with Ben Affleck and
It's a 5-hour
Josh Hartnett.
difference.
Just 5, eh?
5 hours.
Okay, so it would have been the middle of the afternoon.
5.
Here, early to mid-afternoon. Yes, what was that movie called? Well, that one was called Pearl Harbor, I think. Was it not?
Pearl Harbor.
Ben Affleck, like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's literally called Pearl Harbor. It
Yeah.
came out in 2001. I watched this.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good movie. But in that movie, it's literally at dusk.
No, it can't be. It's got to be at dawn.
At dawn. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was another movie that came out more recently that also had a reenactment of Pearl Harbor. Midway. Midway came out a few years ago.
I haven't even heard of that.
Well, it's a great movie. Yeah.
I want to watch this.
Oh, Midway's great. Midway's a really good movie. Part of it was shot in Montreal.
Anyone we know?
Woody Harrelson. Buddy Harrelson plays shorts. He played shortstop for the Mets back in the 60s and 70s. Woody Harrelson, the actor, he's in it. Part of it was some of the indoor scenes were shot in Montreal. And it's about the Battle of Midway, which was...
Oh, yeah, because there's some islands. There's the Midway Islands and
Yeah.
the Hawaii Islands.
Midway was 6 months after Pearl Harbor, and it was the turning point in the Pacific War because the Americans won the Battle of Midway, and they sank like 4 Japanese aircraft carriers. And that turned the tide in the war because the nature of the Pacific War was such that if you didn't have aircraft carriers, you couldn't have air supremacy. And if you didn't have air supremacy, you weren't going to win. Yeah. So the Americans used their air supremacy when they when they island hopped all the way to Iwo Jima. And they didn't end up invading Japan because they dropped the 2 atomic bombs. But the American advantage in aircraft carriers and air supremacy was what won World War II in the Pacific. And so the tide turned at Midway. That's a good movie.
I'm gonna watch it now.
Yeah.
So wait, they never set foot in on Japan?
No.
Really? I always thought they did.
No, they didn't, because they dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that convinced the Japanese to surrender. And lots of people say, the Americans, it's a war crime to drop the atomic bomb and all the lives that were lost and civilians. If they had not done that and the Americans had to invade Japan, it would have been a fucking bloodbath that would have made the 2 atomic bombings look like minor skirmishes. Because the Japanese population had been militarized, and the Japanese warrior philosophy was you don't surrender. You fight until you're dead, and you take as many of the enemy as you can. And that's how they fought on the islands. All the way through the Pacific, the Americans took one island after the next, after the next, after the next, but very few prisoners. Most of the Japanese fought to the death. And that's what would have happened in the mainland islands with the Japanese military and a large segment of the Japanese population, because that was their mindset at that time. Dropping the atomic bombs was... to some extent was the most humane way of ending the war, because the death toll would have been so much greater if they had to actually invade Japan.
It's incredible to think that a country like Japan, because we look at Japan today, right? To think that they were on that side of the war. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, like I say, a very militarized society, and the the Hawks were running Japan at that time, the military Hawks, and they wanted to dominate the Pacific. And the Americans didn't want that to happen. It was that was what they were fighting over, basically, was influence, in the Pacific. Who was going to dominate the Pacific?
It's crazy that this happened.
Yeah.
There's the World War II, I find that so fascinating. Such a fascinating time.
Yeah, well, it's the one event that shaped the world we live in more than any other.
Yeah, exactly.
Even 80 years later, we're living in a world that was shaped by World War II.
Yeah. For some reason, I still think it's like 60 years ago.
Hardly any of those guys are left now, eh?
Yeah.
The World War II veterans.
The oldest one actually in Greece died a couple weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago. I had the pleasure of knowing him. He was a naval commander, Mitsakos, and when I was working in Greece, his daughter and her husband were running the NGO that I was working at. That's how I got to know him. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, if you were 20 years old on D-Day, You'd be turning 100 next year.
God damn.
Yeah. He died. How old was he? He was 100, 101, something like that. He was an old man. But he looked good, even for his old age, you know?
Well, because he survived fucking World War II. What's old age gonna do?
Yeah.
Think about it that way.
Yeah, the gout probably wouldn't rattle those guys, eh? Half my fucking head is Corningware from a fucking shell I took in Normandy. You think the fucking gout's gonna bother me? Yeah.
The what?
We may be, the scary thing is that we may be headed into this, maybe not a world conflict, but,
Some would argue we're already in a world conflict.
I don't know, man. You're looking at what's happening in the Middle East, and there are so many interests involved in there. There are so many countries that directly or indirectly are involved or have some interest in that conflict. I sent you guys an article with the Yemen, the Houthi rebels that hijacked this.
The what rebels?
Houthi, the from Yemen.
Wow, they're a hoot.
Yeah. No, but it's incredible. I mean, 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have expected these guys from these nearly third world countries to be trained like this, right? These guys came in on a helicopter. They hijacked an Israeli.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah, an Israeli-led ship, or linked. It's linked to Israel. I'm not sure how there. And they have body cams. And it's like straight out of a movie. Dropped down from a helicopter in formations, everyone covering everyone, crossing the boat, and they took over the bridge.
So who are the Houthi rebels and what's their agenda?
I don't know exactly the history, but they're...
I guess if they were taking an Israeli ship, they're anti-Israel.
For sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no, Yemen. But from the beginning of the conflict, there have been many missiles intercepted coming from Yemen.
Okay, that I did not know.
So, there's links there to Iran. Iran came out and...
So Iran and Yemen are allies?
Yeah. So Iran dismissed any links that they were involved in, at least the training. A lot of experts are thinking that this style and this sort of training, there's no way that these guys could have done it on their own.
Right.
For sure, it stinks of Iran. Kind of like the attack that happened in Israel on October the 7th. The Gaza rebels or terrorists or whatever you want to call them, or rebels before
Hamas.
Gaza. I mean Hamas. Yeah. Thank you. We're never able to do this sort of thing. So the training that they must have gotten to orchestrate this sort of attack, it links to Iran immediately, right? So Iran has
Or the CIA.
No. So Iran has kind of dismissed everything linking them to these events, but it's hard to believe that it's not the case. So yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, there's so many moving parts in that region. We've spoken about the role that Turkey has played, and because of the fact that they're linked to NATO, that is causing issues as well. So I don't know. I'm really afraid.
Ukraine's really dropped off the radar, eh? Nobody talks about Ukraine
Nobody
anymore.
talks about Ukraine anymore. But,
And to me, that's the one to watch, because if Russia is active militarily, that's a big fucking deal, because they're basically, if they're not a superpower, they're right there. I mean, they're nuclear capable.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think the West is surprised to the longevity that this has lasted. I'm convinced that the West, with the sanctions that they imposed on Russia, thought that by now things would have been resolved, or there would have been some sort of solution, or some sort of significant damage done to Russia, to the point where they would actually go to the negotiating table, either withdraw or figure out some peace deal. And it hasn't worked. And this is where the dynamics are very obvious on the international scene, because immediately as the West was imposing sanctions on Russia, Russia turned around and went to India and China, which have the biggest markets in the world, right? Yeah. And they're just continuing their actions. I mean, I really don't know how much of an impact these sanctions have had on Russia.
What are the sanctions?
All these economic sanctions, they froze foreign accounts. You had Russian billionaires all over the world that saw their assets frozen. So trading sanctions, things that in any other part of the world, it would have caused a huge dent in their economy. Russia doesn't care.
Well, like you say, if they can do business with India and China.
For sure. And, that has brought up this whole other question of, especially when you're dealing with the East or with Asia, it's no longer about creating alliances. I mean, India, you would think that they would create this alliance with the West, but India's like, listen, we have China next door. We have our own interests to look after, and there's not just one solution to this. Maybe there's many solutions, and they're playing their own game over there.
And they're fighting in the Himalayas.
Eh?
They're fighting in the Himalayas. Have you guys seen this?
No.
Basically, the Chinese military and the Indian military, they're not allowed to fire at each other with guns and weaponry and stuff because it'll break the peace treaty. So what they do is they fight they dispute over territory in the Himalayas, but they do it with melee weapons. So they fight old school. Swords,
They do it with what?
spears.
Fuck off.
I swear to God. Yeah, the
Bows
Indians.
and arrows.
No, but the Indians, they made like these
Martial arts.
They punch each other. They throw rocks at each other. The Indians made a trident that's electrified. They made an electrified cestus. You know the cestus fists?
What the fuck are you
Is he making this
about?
up?
No, I swear to God, dude, I'll bring it up right now.
Yeah, find the article online.
There's videos.
Finish him.
Yeah.
The fucking Russians.
Indian and Chinese troops fight with sticks and bricks in video. So in this video, they're fighting with sticks and bricks. So this is in the mountains, basically. So this is them just fucking.
Looks like a movie set to me.
Fuck this.
Take a look at this video. It's more than a year old, from September 2021. High in the Himalayas. Again,
Want to lower this?
able to confirm.
I love people hitting people with sticks like this.
So basically, they have disputes in the mountains.
Look how weird this looks, dude. You have
Because-
soldiers.
Yeah, and because
They have weapons, but they choose branches.
but the thing is, because they're not allowed to use if they use any form of weaponry, that is
What is that? Isn't that considered a weapon when you're hitting someone with a
No,
branch?
any form of modern weaponry. Sorry, that like firearm or whatever, grenades, bombs, you name it.
They get a timeout.
No. They break basically the peace treaty. They're doing what I've been saying countries should do is we should go back to the old days and battle it out over fields and shit with
Just let the leaders have a fist fight. Yeah.
Yeah, like an arm wrestling thing.
Yeah.
because now people suffer in modern. You know what I mean? But go back to the old days of like basically fucking each other up.
Speaking of India,
Swords.
have you guys seen those clips of those fights that break out in the Indian parliament?
No,
Isn't that amazing?
I haven't seen them.
You've never seen clips?
No, I've seen clips of like the Taiwanese parliament. Like there's a few different countries where they have
it's
fist
usually
fights
in Asia.
in parliament.
It's usually in Asia.
Yeah.
It's probably like a standard thing. It's part of our culture here. We
guess
beat
so,
the shit
yeah.
out of each other in parliament. It's the best.
I like that. I
I love
I'm
it.
for that.
Supplementary punch in the face, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order. I'd like to punch the member opposite. I love that shit. You see microphones flying across the parliament. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody fucking throat punch Trudeau one day. That'd be pretty funny.
There was nearly a fight that broke out at the National Assembly of Quebec years ago. I think it was back in 2007. I had just started.
Yeah.
And I remember it was Norm Macmillan. Norm Macmillan was the liberal whip. And he was the best. Norm Macmillan. Everyone loved him. He threw huge parties up on the hill.
Where was his riding? Was he Montreal area?
No. I think he was in the Outaouais.
Okay.
I can't remember the writing's name, but anyways, long time member of the National Assembly, very well respected guy, and he was he was like a bulldog, which fit perfectly the role that he was always given. He was the whip.
Right.
Whenever he said something, everyone was like, "Okay, sure, Norm, no problem." And I can't remember who it was with. He starts shouting across. It was the PQ. And there's cameras everywhere. The only place in the National Assembly where the camera doesn't see you or you can't be seen is behind the chair, behind the speaker's chair. And that's usually where the press attaches are. They're sending little memos to their bosses, what to say or how to say things, so they're behind there. And don't these two start racing behind the speaker's chair? And you see that, right? You see these guys just dash behind. I don't know what happened. I was told that nothing ended up happening, but that was as far as the action got in the National Assembly. Just hiding behind the speaker's chair. I'd love to see a fight, though.
You just reminded me of Denis Lortie. He was the guy who shot up the National Assembly.
Yeah, in the 80s, yeah.
I think it was 1983.
Yeah.
Is he still in prison?
I'm not so sure. But the balls...
Look at this. Full parole in 1996.
Oh, okay, he's out.
Fucking guy shoots up the fucking National Assembly. He was crazy, obviously.
Thankfully no one had gotten hurt there. But the balls...
No, I think there were 3 people killed in that.
Really?
I think so. I thought that there were deaths in that.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that. I thought he just...
Crazy.
But members of the national, elected officials?
Yeah, he was convicted of second-degree murder.
Holy shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 3 killed.
Oh, my God.
3 killed, 13 injured. And the sergeant-at-arms talked him down and convinced him to give up.
The balls on that guy.
Yeah. I think he was a WW2 veteran.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
My goodness. Let's talk about the Alouettes winning the Grey Cup. How amazing was that?
It was quite amazing. Did you watch the game?
No, I had no idea the Grey Cup was even happening.
Is that right?
No idea.
Not a big CFL fan?
No.
Are you an NFL fan?
No.
Okay. So
I watch one game a year, and it's the, what do you call it?
Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And just because we hang out with the guys.
Yeah.
And
well, it's a party. It's an excuse
and I don't even know who's playing until I get to the house, usually.
Yeah.
And I had no idea there was the final, the CFL final. We went to eat at a restaurant with my family and a friend, and they had TVs, and I'm like, is it the final? Is it the Grey Cup today? And he's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, but why I think it's fine. And then I saw this guy with an Alouettes, and I'm like, holy shit, the Alouettes made it to the finals? It was nice to see, though.
Yeah, well, it was a surprise because they were good but not great in the regular season. I think their record was 11-7. And they won their first playoff game at home against Hamilton. They were favored to win that one, but then they were huge underdogs going into Toronto because the Argonauts were the defending Grey Cup champions. The Alouettes were 10.5-point underdogs. They won that game in Toronto. Then they go to the Grey Cup where they're 8.5-point underdogs against Winnipeg, and they win an absolute barn burner. Last-minute touchdown pass.
That's a great clip.
To win the game. Very exciting. But then it becomes a language thing.
Yeah.
Because I think his name's Marc-Antoine. Is it Marc-Antoine?
Yeah, Duquois.
Yeah. Who plays for the Alouettes. He went on a bit of a tirade on RDS at the end of the game, basically saying, fuck you and your English, because there was little, if any, French signage at the stadium in Hamilton for the Grey Cup, even though it's supposed to be a bilingual league. And apparently TSN had listed the Grey Cup somewhere as Toronto and Winnipeg, even though it was the Alouettes. So he was pissed off, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him one bit. He's got a point. There should be French signage all over the place, whether the Alouettes are in the game or not. If you're a bilingual league, you're a bilingual league. And the Alouettes are a strong franchise in that league, and it was really shitty, and he had a good point. And he backpedaled the next day, and he said, listen, I wasn't criticizing English people. It was nothing against English people. And I don't think anyone who was intellectually honest would have taken it that way. They would have understood why he was pissed off. And then Buddy jumped on the bandwagon, of course, Plamondon.
Yeah.
And he went off on a big tirade about the disrespect for French, and it was disrespectful. And I've said before on this show, we've talked about, I think in order for the PQ to have any shot at resurrecting the Independence Project, they need a good humiliation, because that's what usually works for them. You know, Meech Lake was what drove the last referendum campaign. I don't think this is the one, but it's something.
Yeah.
You know, it's the kind of thing that they need.
Oh, yeah. And we've spoken about this before. Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, even though he is a rookie politician, he has demonstrated exceptional skills at attracting attention. Keep in mind that not until a month ago, there were only 3 in the National Assembly. They won a by-election in the city of Quebec in the riding of Jean Talon.
There were only 3 PQ members?
Yeah, and now there are 4 with that by-election. But that by-election, not even in their wildest dreams ever in the history of their party did they hope.
This is the Jean Talon one?
That riding has always been liberal. And it's gone to the CAQ in the last elections, which kind of makes sense there because they won the entire region of Quebec. But no one would have dared to bet that one day that riding would have become a PQ seat. Never. And they won it. So no one has still understood what exactly happened there. Obviously, it's a protest vote towards the CAQ, but the fact that protest vote went to the PQ rather than the natural party that always had that riding, which is the Liberals, is very telling.
Interesting.
So he's a very gifted young guy, and he's managed to find the issues to consistently attract the attention and to speak and to talk about the PQ. And again, there are only 4. So they only get, I think, 5 or 6 questions per week. They don't get a lot of visibility in the House. They're like the they're like third opposition.
So they're like the early 90s conservatives federally when they got wiped out.
Yeah.
And we're down to two MPs, Jean Charest and Elsie Wayne from St. John, New Brunswick.
Exactly.
And they built back from that. And then Harper was in office for what? How many terms did Harper have? Did he have 3?
3, I think, yeah. So, and he has... they're picking issues that make absolutely no difference in anyone's life. But they still make headlines. They did it with the swearing in, the oath, the swearing in oath to the king. They didn't want to do it. They managed to I mean, think of this. They couldn't sit in the National Assembly because they didn't want to swear allegiance to the king. So that was part of the procedure. If you can't complete your oath ceremony, you can't sit as an M&A. So they had refused. So they were outside. They didn't allow them to sit because they hadn't completed their swearing in. And even though they weren't sitting in the House, they managed to pass a bill to change the law of the National Assembly that dictates that you need to swear allegiance to the king. They managed to change that without even sitting in the parliament because of the attention they drew to the issue. So that was instant. They did that within 2 weeks of the National Assembly.
So what was the change? That you don't have to
that
anymore?
It's optional.
Okay.
That it's now optional. So finally they were able to, they allowed them back into the House.
Yeah.
But they did that without even sitting. Imagine. So they did that with that. They're doing it with now the language issue. They're finding all sorts of things. Pascal Bérubé, who is, he's a legend. He's a veteran in the Parti Québécois. He's elected out in the Gaspésie area. He is signing a petition to ban the time change, and they're making news with that. You know what I mean? Every single week, the PQ is in the headlines, and it's good for them. They found a way to talk about themselves.
Yeah, well, you know what? Those are both interesting issues. Like you say, they really don't affect your life one way or another.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Of course, it's interesting. Yeah. So they force the media to just talk about them because either it's absurd or no one else is talking about them or whatever it is. But this is not absurd though. This whole language thing. As soon as I wasn't watching it, but as soon as he said that, Twitter exploded, right?
Yeah.
So I'm getting it. I'm like, oh shit, the PQ is going to come out with something.
Yeah.
Seconds later, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon was on the thing.
Yeah. Well, he should have been. That's just good politics on his part.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity.
Yeah,
that's a bread and butter issue for them.
Yeah. That's their turf. That's where they're fighting. And this morning, there was a poll that came out. They're first in the voter intentions.
The PQ are.
The PQ, they're 6 points ahead the CAQ now. So listen, their strategy is working. A couple of weeks ago, there was another poll. They weren't leading in terms of voter intention, but they were ahead in terms of the best prime minister. He was ahead of
Plamondon. Best leader.
He was ahead of the CAQ, and now they're officially ahead in voter intentions. So number one in voter intentions, number one in terms of your choice for PM. something is brewing, you know what I mean? Something's cooking. And the CAQ seems to be in a panic mode ever since they lost that election for some reason. And I don't understand. And this is where you see the difference between experienced caucus versus amateurs, you know, because most of them had never done politics before. They jumped on the bandwagon.
Most of who? The CAQ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like the NDP, the Orange Wave
No, it's
back
kind
in
of
the
like
day?
Trudeau in 2015.
Yeah.
Trudeau, 2015, they were all rookies.
Yeah.
So, and everybody's wondering.
Nice
why-
hair, though.
Nice hair.
Yeah.
Beautiful guy, good looking guy. But fucking horrible.
Looks just like his dad, Castro.
Without the beard.
Yeah.
So that's the CAQ. Of course, now they're in their second mandate. Of course, we can't say that they're not experienced. Things evolve very quickly in politics. But the point I'm trying to make is that you lose one riding. You have 90 seats. You lose one. You still have a resounding majority.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an issue. It's nothing you should worry about. It's nothing you should stress about. Elections are in 2026.
Really? That's
Yeah.
when the next provincial
Yeah.
election's going to be?
Yeah.
So everybody
what are you
fucking
worried
relax.
about? Relax, you know? So they seem to be in a panic mode. As soon as they lost the by-election, they came out against the English-speaking universities that we spoke about. They're like, we're going to charge you double the fees for for international students. And now they came out with this brilliant idea to fund, to subsidize the LA Kings to come in to practice during the preseason in Quebec City in the Centre Vidéotron, and to play, I think, two preseason games.
Exhibition games.
Two exhibition games.
Yeah. Who thinks that's a good idea?
Maybe it's a good idea, but here's not a good idea. You're giving $5 to $7 million to the LA Kings to come and play here or to practice here in the middle of the
public
toughest
servant strike.
negotiations with the public sector unions. What the fuck's wrong with you? And like, not only is it bad, you have members of the caucus now, especially the president of the Treasury Board, who is responsible for giving out the money, who just doesn't understand. She's in the middle of the toughest negotiations. Everyone is on the streets. The schools are closed. My kids are home now, yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And who knows how long this thing is going to last. And you have the government fucking announcing candy to the LA Kings, a team that is owned by billionaires that can very easily fund their team to go and play elsewhere.
And I think that I read or heard that the Canadians had offered to go and play for free.
Mm-hmm. I don't know the details with that, because the minister, Éric Girard, mentioned this. He said, look, the last time the Canadians came to play here was in 2018. And back then, like half of the roster came. They played with the Leafs, I think, and the Leafs also sent half of the roster. It wasn't really interesting. He goes, "We'll bring the LA Kings, the Panthers, and the Boston Bruins, some of the top, the highest ranking teams in the NHL. They're going to play exhibition games."
And the aim is to demonstrate that they can get enough people in the building to support bringing
the
back
return of the Nordiques. But in addition to that, his argument was like, listen, we need to promote the fact that Quebec City has the facility to attract other sporting events, figure skating competitions.
Well, that's a big ass arena, eh?
Yeah, it's brand new.
Yeah,
it's brand new. State of the art, beautiful building. But I'm not necessarily against it. I mean, okay, it's cool. Okay, there's other teams coming, but the timing is what sucks. Maybe you should have thought about that. Now, the other controversy around this decision is that the money that they found to fund this comes from a special program that is specifically meant to fund local community led initiatives to boost the economy and stuff like that, you know. So it's a fund that usually you give $100,000, $500,000. It's no more than $3 million per year that is in that fund, and it's local to Quebec City. And they took that money that normally should go to local businesses to bring in the Kings.
Yeah.
And the big issue now is that because it's only $3 million maximum per year, they're giving $5 to $7 million. So they're not dumb. They said, well, we're going to extend it to 2 years, which is why they took the entire $3 million plus $3 million, and they're going to drop it there. So they emptied that program for 2 years. The entire money. So I don't know how many programs that money, that fund would have benefited in the region of Quebec, but it's all gone. It is all gone, and it's going to the LA Kings and these other teams to come to Quebec next year. So Quebec Solidaire immediately made a request to the Auditor General to investigate this. Because it's supposed to be money given to local initiatives. So who knows? I mean, this is going to be an embarrassment, because if the Auditor General comes out and says this money, technically you cannot use it for this, and you know, if there's like an ethics breach or whatever, I don't know what kind of breach they come up with. It's embarrassing. Yeah. It's embarrassing. So I'm wondering if if the pressure is gonna climb up to the point where they're gonna have to backtrack on them. That's embarrassing, because they signed a deal already with all these teams. Can you imagine them calling the team and say, yeah, by the way, we can't do that anymore? I mean,
well, if they've signed a deal, there's got to be a penalty clause if they try to back out of it, eh?
Probably.
You would think, yeah.
Probably.
Let's check the chat line, see if anyone's asking about Poseidon's bidet.
Oh, the Japanese have this.
Somebody said they miss Harper so bloody much.
Yeah. You know what I saw recently, speaking of Harper? This was in the 2015 campaign. So he was campaigning against Justin Trudeau, and it's one of those town hall style meetings, right? And he was talking and saying, you know, Justin Trudeau's fiscal policy and just doesn't make any sense, you know. He thinks, and he was talking about the fact that Justin Trudeau was promising very mild deficits and then a return to a balanced budget.
The deficit was going to take care of itself, remember?
Yeah, that was before the election, yeah. But during that campaign in 2015, and I remember that very well, he was promising mild deficits and a return to a balanced budget by 2019. And Harper, you know, was campaigning and at that time saying that it's ridiculous. It makes no sense what he's talking about. He has no idea how things work, and that is really not what's going to happen. We're going to go down this incredible spiral in our financial economy.
And he wasn't wrong,
of course, but that's why it's resurfacing now, because everything that he's saying in 2015 actually ended up happening.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because yesterday, Chrystia Freeland, the finance minister, tabled the end of the year economic updates. Our deficit, Canada's deficit, is over $40 billion.
That's the deficit. What's the debt?
Oh,
is the debt over $1 trillion?
Yeah. We're in the trillions.
$1 trillion fucking dollars.
Yeah. But the debt, Ted, I mean, there's no way in hell that you can ever get the debt down to zero. But if you can reduce
hold on, we had a surplus prior.
No. That's a deficit. The deficit is your annual budget, you know?
Your annual shortfall.
Yeah. Basically, like you're preparing your year. You're looking at, I cannot spend more than, I don't know, $2,000 each month. You know, so that you won't be paying you won't be servicing the interest, right? If not, I mean,
but your bills are $3,000, so your deficit's going to be $12,000.
Exactly. But you have a plan. You're like, okay, this is what I need to do. We're going to be paying it off slowly, and you know, in 3 years, we're gonna eliminate the deficit, kind of thing, right? So you put a plan in place. So as long as you maintain that plan, the calculations that you've made are gonna, you know, make it that at the end of whatever period you're gonna be okay financially. That's not happening. Every single year we keep adding to the debt. $40 billion deficit.
The Standing By podcast allows me to balance my personal budget every year. Maybe the government needs a podcast.
Yeah,
we should speak to Pantelis, see if we can get.
I think Justin Trudeau started a YouTube page.
Oh yeah,
check it out.
Sorry, what do you
Justin Trudeau? I think he started a YouTube page not too long ago.
No fucking way.
I think so. Yeah.
What do you think of Poilievre?
I think Poilievre.
You think he'd be a good prime minister?
I think he'd make a great prime minister.
I think so. I think he. I don't know if he has the required experience to be prime minister, but what he has,
neither did Trudeau.
Exactly.
He really has a YouTube,
and that's the point that I was going to make. I think he's much smarter than Trudeau.
Oh, for sure,
in that he will purposely surround himself with the right people to guide him in being a good prime minister,
as
which
opposed
Trudeau
to surrounding
failed.
Well, Trudeau surrounds himself with acolytes.
You know what's funny? Everyone is literally just ripping him in the comments of his videos, of his own videos.
He doesn't care. It creates engagement in his posts. He likes that shit.
Yeah.
But What I have noticed about Poilievre is obviously his look has changed. I mean, they're preparing him, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's people behind that. It's not a coincidence that the glasses are done and that he's dressing a little bit better.
Right.
But what I have noticed is that his discourse has changed. He's not that bulldog anymore. He doesn't say these ridiculous things, you know, I don't know if they're ridiculous or not, but things that kind of make people cringe, like what that whole thing he did with a Bitcoin. I don't know if you saw that interview.
No.
He gave this interview, I think it was on a podcast, where he's smoking a shisha and he's talking about Bitcoin and how, you know, we should integrate that in our economy. And he went to buy a shawarma once and he paid by Bitcoin. So he's done with that kind of stuff.
Well, I saw the Apple thing. Was the Apple thing not that kind of stuff where he's eating the apple and he's
how about them apples?
Yeah, and he's taking Buddy. He really fucking
destroyed him.
smoked that guy.
Well, yeah. But you know what? Listen, if you're going to be a journalist and you're going to cover, you got to be on top of the game, man. You can't
And
just...
that guy wasn't.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. So clearly he wasn't prepared, and he took him for a ride. He you know,
I have the video.
Which one? The apples?
Yes.
Yeah.
How about those apples?
But
the only thing I
hold
don't
on,
like about
I
him
want
is
to find a shorter version.
he's too smarmy for my liking, and
Yeah.
and you know, I'm not a card carrying conservative, but ideologically I'm a get a haircut and get a real job conservative, so I would rather him than Trudeau, but I just don't like how smarmy he is.
Yeah, he
sometimes.
is. But he's changed. Well, that's what I was saying. He's a lot less than what
he's
he
less
was.
smarmy, yeah, because he's pretty smarmy in this.
Well, yeah.
But he does own the fucking guy,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
and the guy's asking for it too.
Had it been any other journalist, I think he would have been more respectful. But this guy's like, let me fucking.
I'm going to be
do this.
honest. I like that. I feel like this is something that Canada needs right now.
A little bit
after
of an
everything.
edge.
A bit of an edge because
Yeah.
we had Harper. He was boring, but he was great. Now people miss Harper.
And have you seen this video, Poseidon?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it very much.
But you know, the other thing I'm thinking is because there's a lot of people that are suggesting.
Look at that face. But you have to admit, he has a face.
Yeah, he does. No, but a lot of people are suggesting that this may
on the topic. I
this
mean,
may
in
have
terms
been
of your
staged.
sort of
Yeah.
What did you say?
A lot of people are suggesting that this may have been
Well, I
staged.
hope they paid Buddy lots of money then. If in that
I
case,
don't know who
to
this
make a
journalist
fucking
is.
idiot of himself.
I mean, maybe he's a real journalist,
All these stage things bother me because why would he risk his journalistic
No, it's not
career?
that. This is the leader of the opposition. Okay, he's followed by press. Okay, so I mean, you're at an orchard. You went apple picking. There's only one journalist that finds you somewhere in the
middle of nowhere,
and you allow him to give you an interview with perfect lighting. So I don't know, man. I mean, unless there were other journalists there that were asking him questions, but I didn't see any of that content come up.
it's just him and this guy.
So that's why I think, and then immediately after that, they went on the branding with the apple. How about them apples?
Yeah.
They made T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Kind of stinks a little bit, eh?
Let's watch this video.
strategy currently, you're
Want to
obviously
put on your headphones, Ted?
taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean?
Well, appealing to people's more emotional levels, I would guess. I mean,
What do you mean by that?
certainly
Give me
you tap very strong ideological language quite frequently.
Like what?
Left wing, this and that, right wing. I mean, it's that type of ideological spectrum.
I never really talk about left
But
or right.
anyways, a lot
I
of
don't
people
really believe in that.
Okay, a lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Like which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but
Like who?
I don't know who. But
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
you must know somebody.
okay, I'm sure there's some out there. But anyways, the point of this question is, I mean, why should Canadians trust you with their vote, given not just the sort of ideological inclination in terms of taking the page out of Donald Trump's book, but
What are you
also
talking about? What page? What page? Can you give me a page? Give me the page. You keep saying
in terms of turning things quite dramatically in terms of Trudeau and the left wing.
guy does
and
a
all
good job
this.
of
I mean,
being flustered.
you make quite it's quite a play that
If
you
he's
make on
acting,
it.
he's a good actor.
So
I'm not
just
sure.
wondering.
I don't know what your question
Okay,
is.
then forget that. Why should Canadians trust you with their vote?
Common sense. Common sense for a change. We're going to make common sense common in this country. We don't have any common sense in the current government.
I don't know. I mean,
I will tell you why I think it isn't staged.
because he couldn't act that good.
Well, the guy who's asking the questions, he's bad, man. He's fucking bad.
Yeah. I don't know.
And he seems genuinely flustered to me.
Also, there's a few hints. His sunglasses in his hands. It seems like he was enjoying a nice day out at an orchard, and he was like, "Fuck it, I'll do this shit last minute." Because he's holding everything in one hand when he eats the apple. Yeah. And then at some point, he glares off into the distance and he said, yeah, this will be done soon, as if... Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, he's looking.
So
he seems to be looking.
It seems like a surprise. I mean, look,
like an impromptu off the cuff.
I will say I got recognized at an orchard. I went with apple picking with my girlfriend, and a fan of Sous-Écoute and our podcasts recognized me, and she said hello. So if I got recognized at an orchard, I mean, this guy is much more famous than
For sure, he gets recognized, but I'm just saying that. I don't think they give access to the media that easily. I mean, you're the leader of the opposition. Your agenda may be public. Maybe. Sometimes they make it public. Sometimes they don't. But, okay, he recognizes you at an orchard. The guy tells his person here, hold my phone. Let me see if he can give me an interview. He probably approached his press attaché or someone. He's like, can I, just 5 minutes, a couple questions, whatever. And they said, yeah, whatever, go ahead, But it doesn't happen like that. It just doesn't happen that way. So I don't know. Maybe it wasn't staged. Maybe I'm overthinking it. In any case, they knew how to take advantage of it and fucking
the perfect lighting.
I mean, it's in the day. It's in broad daylight.
No,
so
it's not just that. The perfect lighting argument is, maybe it was an interview and they looked for good lighting. How many times do you go take a picture and you look for good lighting and it's
No, I get it. I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's easy to do. Yeah.
I don't think that's a valid argument.
Whatever the case is,
perfect lighting is not a
whatever it is, whether it's staged
bro,
or
the
not.
sun was bright and was perfectly on his face, bro. It's staged. I don't know. I don't buy that.
They got perfectly that 45-degree angle right on the side.
Well, yeah, it's called standing properly. It's called posing.
No, but even if it wasn't, I mean, this is what we were trying to say. They've managed to take advantage of these situations and to expose him. And to bring him up, and I think that change that he's made in his behavior, even in the choice of language, the idea now that Pierre Poilievre is working on is to demonstrate to Canadians that he is ready to become prime minister. That's the whole idea of being in the opposition. Your whole point is to show Canadians that. You're pretty much the prime minister in waiting.
Yeah,
that's what it is, and I think he's demonstrating that quite well.
Yeah, I can't see Trudeau winning another term.
I was at a meeting. When was it? Monday. This week, Monday. And at that meeting, there was a husband of an MP in Trudeau's cabinet. And we always fuck around, and we joke around. And at the end of the meeting, I kind of we were chatting. And I go up to him, I'm like, dude, man, can you just tell the guy to, tell your wife, what's happening? And he goes, George, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, man. The guy needs to go. This is the husband, he's married to an MP.
A cabinet minister?
No, she's not
just
a cabinet minister.
Backbencher, yeah.
She's an MP. She's in the caucus, obviously. And she's telling me, this guy needs to go. I don't even see how we can do an election with him. So I don't know if that's his opinion or it's through discussions that he's having with his wife. Mm-hmm. If she's bringing, those messages.
If there's a consensus in the caucus that he's got to go.
But I don't think there's any doubt at all that his caucus is divided. I mean, we've been saying this for months, even years now when we're doing this podcast before you joined Ted. I'm not so sure there's a lot of happy people. I don't want to say the majority because that would be tragic. I mean, they would have kicked him out already. Oh. But I'm sure that the number of people that are dissatisfied is important.
And you know what? He's had a good run. You know, I mean, not that it's been good for the country necessarily, but for him personally, he's had a good run. Whoever would have thought that this guy would win 3 consecutive mandates, right? Because I think he's an empty suit. He's a nice guy. Well, we've had this conversation. We both met him.
Yeah.
Nice guy, but I just don't think there's any gravitas there.
No, and I think he knew that from the beginning, and I think he knew that his strongest point was the appeal he had to people, all right? Because he does that. I mean, you see him, and he has this attractive presence where people just, they want to gravitate around. And it's fine.
He's engaging.
Yeah,
and he's Pierre Trudeau's son.
Exactly.
So,
So he has that celebrity status, and he came in on this huge wave of. He was stars. He was a star status.
Terry told me a great story. This is telling tales out of school, but I'm going to assume that Justin Trudeau's not watching the podcast right now. Hi, Justin. Terry was with him the night he won the first time, 2015.
Yeah.
Terry was at the campaign headquarters, and he said when it was evident that they were going to win, he said Justin had a look on his face like,
What now? No way.
Now what do I do?
No way.
Yeah, he had a look on his face like, holy fuck, what? I have to be prime minister now? Uh-oh. I mean, he figured it out, but in the moment, he was...
There was a shocked factor. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think he rode that wave as much as he could. And he's just coming to the point now where people are realizing, okay, dude, man, your good looks and your personality and your charisma, they just don't cut it anymore, man.
Yeah.
We need to have results. We need to have tangible things. You can't be taking us down this path anymore where you think that by spending...
I'm sorry, I just saw something.
By spending recklessly, it's going to help us in any way, shape, or form, because it doesn't. It doesn't, right? And the fact that he's coming out and saying we are performing much better than any other countries in the G7, who gives a shit? Every country in the world suffered economically. What does it say there? Mr. Soros, terrible news.
It can't be. Yes, the racists, they started another podcast.
Stupid thing. I don't know why the fuck you would interrupt me.
I'm sorry, bro. It was just, I had to share.
So he's coming out in one of his arguments, and people that are listening or following the news, they probably saw that. He's saying that, we're doing much better than the G7 countries. For me, it's a useless argument because every major country is coming out of this pandemic that made these countries suffer economically, much bigger economies than Canada. So the fact that they're doing bad doesn't mean that you're doing good. So you can't be comparing yourself to much bigger economies and to compare our numbers with theirs and to think that, well, look, we're doing much better than, Italy, or we're doing much better than the UK or France. Yeah, they're much bigger fucking economies. And if you think that you suffered economically from the pandemic, imagine these guys. So I think it's a stupid argument.
Let me put you on the spot, because you're more well-read than me when it comes to politics. How is Italy doing with Mussolini's granddaughter or whoever she is?
I think it was an over-exaggeration.
Yeah, she's not actually Mussolini's granddaughter, but
she's not.
When she got elected, everyone was, she's a fascist.
Yeah,
she's like Mussolini.
Yeah, she's like Mussolini. Listen, it's a right-wing government, and it's a conservative government, and they're taking measures. And of course, it's still very early on. I don't follow Italian politics.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as tragic as they made it seem.
Well, I haven't heard anything about it, and usually no news is good news, right? If she was running the place into the ground, or fucking locking up gay people and transgenders, you'd hear about it, right?
You should definitely be on the news. The fact that we don't hear about her is.
Yeah. Well, look, I think she was pretty cute too, if I'm not mistaken.
She's not bad.
Did you see her young?
What's that?
Did you see her young?
Younger pictures of her?
What was her name?
Giorgia Meloni.
Did we see her yawn?
Young.
Have you seen her when she was younger?
Oh,
the correct phrasing should have been.
Giorgia Meloni.
I thought you said, did you see her yawn? And I thought, oh no, where's he going with that?
That's funny.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, she's an attractive woman.
It's honestly, yeah. She reminds me of a porn star.
That one. No, in the middle. Go down.
That I jerk
That
off
one
to.
in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah.
Hold on,
if she played her cards right, she could be my third wife.
Oh my god.
Ted, the cafe. Mi amore, ti amo.
Wait, where is she young?
That one.
Yeah. That she was cute.
Anyway,
She reminds me of Sarah Vandella.
We're not very shallow at all, eh?
No.
It's just cute, man.
Okay,
That's my fault. I
So
started
let's
us
just
down that
throw this
road.
out there. Argentina just recently elected their new president. He looks like a fucking wacko. Let me
Oh
tell
yeah.
you.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, with
yeah.
the bad hair.
Yeah, the big
he
sideburns.
looks, yeah. He
Fucking
looks
crazy.
But a good wacko.
Crazy. What's his name? Milei. Jose Milei or something like that. Javier
Milei.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
He looks like the guy from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, Javier
Yeah,
Bardem.
he's got the same hair. That fucking. Do you ever see that movie?
Amazing.
That fucking character he played in that movie
it's
scared
amazing.
the shit out of me.
Yeah, for sure.
If I ever met him, I'd be scared
Was it
shitless
you-
that he was going to fucking kill me with the fucking nail gun or whatever
Was
it
it
was.
you that was saying that movie doesn't have a soundtrack? Like a
No, it wasn't me.
Who was saying it? Someone was saying that it has no. It has no soundtrack. Like there's no music in that movie.
Really?
Which
eh?
movie? Which movie?
Yeah, No Country for Old Men.
He was so good in that.
So good.
Holy shit, he scared the shit out of me in
good.
that movie.
So good.
Jesus.
Oh, is that the one with a psychopath?
Yeah, where he's what is
Really?
it
There's
he's
no
killing people
soundtrack?
with?
I didn't even notice.
It's like a pressure, like an air pressure.
Yeah, and he's
Oh, it's
shooting.
what you kill the sheep with.
Is that what
so,
it is?
yeah, so
and what's he
basically-
shooting into them? Like screws or nails or something?
It's basically a rod. It's a pointy
Yeah.
rod, and what happens is it's the most humane way to kill a sheep.
Livestock, yeah.
Livestock, basically, and basically it's a air tank.
Yeah.
and it basically shoots that nail right into the head and kills the animal instantly. They
Right.
don't even feel it, and they don't know you're killing it. It's just like an instant. So that's what he's walking around with.
Yeah. Oh,
And it's
man.
such a smart tool to use to murder. Because like, how do people won't figure it out after?
No, but
you're
even
done.
as a movie to think, okay, what can we? We have a serial killer.
Yeah.
What gun? What weapon?
Yeah.
Are we gonna have? You know.
It's the
a
most-
crowbar, a shotgun. Like a.
And I get the sheep killing
No, let's
thing.
get this fucking
Yeah.
air pressure
Yeah.
tank.
Yeah.
And he's just rolling
Yeah,
it
yeah,
around.
yeah.
What the fuck? It's so crazy.
You guys know it's the most precise representation of a psychopath, right?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been studied. It's been studied by psychologists, the movie, and they've come to the conclusion that this is the most accurate representation of a
Well,
psychopath.
he played it well. Did he not win the Academy Award for that too? Best,
Oh,
I
I'm
believe
sure- I
he
think
won
he was
Best Supporting
nominated.
Actor. I
Well,
think
maybe.
he won.
He won?
I
Yeah.
think he
Really?
should have. Yeah, Best Supporting Actor, or I don't know if it was Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor. Javier
Bardem.
Bardem. Yeah.
He's married to Penelope Cruz.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Jesus. How's it going other than that?
What do you want me to
Javier?
search, Ted?
I got him
It's okay.
here.
We got it here.
Yeah, Best Supporting Actor.
He won.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for his performance as psychopathic assassin Anton Alphabet. Oh, it was Coen Brothers movie. I didn't know that. God, they make good movies.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a good movie. What were we saying? Yeah, so let's see how that whole thing evolves with the guy in Argentina. There was it wasn't similar. We're not going to compare the two. But when Giorgia Meloni was elected, we got that kind of comment, right? Oh, she's crazy. Oh, right.
and is that what they're saying about Buddy in Argentina?
Oh, he's
crazy right wing.
but he looks crazy. So we'll see. Let's have this conversation again in a year and see where things are.
Find a picture of him, Poseidon. I
in
want to see what
Argentina.
I want to get a good look at him.
He's crazy. He looks out of his mind. The guy he's a
Do you know
fucking-
anything about him?
No.
Yeah.
I think he was a soccer player.
Yeah.
And then he studied economics, and he just became popular because of the interviews that he was given.
Okay.
There's also like a tantrum sex
Tantric
coach.
sex.
What is it?
Tantric
What is
sex.
I don't,
Hold on.
yeah, it's like the.
Zero filter. This guy, he just
Who, me?
no, that guy.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, tantric sex coach.
Okay.
What's
Tantric
tantric
sex?
sex?
I think it's when you sort of incorporate yoga into sex,
Oh, yeah.
or something like yoga. Yeah.
To be honest, that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
Look who's getting elected, man. It's just
Yeah.
crazy.
But imagine how. Here's what I think. Imagine how bad the candidates and the economy and the politics have gotten in the country in order for people to be like, yeah, this dude who's a writer, a tantric sex coach, and an ex-soccer player makes perfect sense. Could you imagine how bad it got?
There you go.
Here, I have videos.
Tantric sex is, it's like sexual yoga. Oh, fuck, man. I don't know if I could do that. There's a lot of bending involved. I can barely do the fucking regular stuff anymore.
Yeah, he's
I'll bet.
yeah, he's a very libertarian.
There he is. Get a fucking haircut, dude.
I like his haircut. I like that
You
he's
can't
whack.
give shit leftards an inch.
translating.
Look.
No le podés dar ni un
Pero ¿me
milímetro.
podés definir zurdo de mierda que no
Todos
lo
los que,
entiendo?
digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea. A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda. O sea, no, pero es que si pensás, pero si pensás distinto te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar
Isn't
un
that a bad
milímetro, porque le das un milímetro y lo toma para destrozarte.
Puto.
Es decir, vos no podés negociar con el zurdo. No se negocia.
Look at you all Spanish. Oh, that's right. Your wife's Colombian, right? Yeah. You know that.
But speaking of movies, you mentioned something about Susan Sarandon. What happened with her?
Susan Sarandon got dropped by her agency, one of the big agencies in Hollywood, UTA, I think. Would that be United Talent Artists? I'm not sure. Anyway, she got dropped because she had a pro-Palestinian rally. She said, now Jews know how it feels to be a Muslim in America because of all the attacks on Israel and Jews because of what's going on in Gaza. So basically, it was a stupid thing for her to say. So her agency dropped her, and even some high-profile American Muslims came out and said, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. One writer in particular said to her, like not directly to her, but said, Susan Sarandon should go try to be a Muslim woman in a Muslim country and see how that works out for you. She said, being a Muslim in America is A-O-fucking-K. Thank you very much, Susan Sarandon. So anyway, I think, her ship sailed a while ago, I think, Susan Sarandon. What was the last big thing that she was in? Yeah. She's married to Tim Robbins.
Are they still married? Yeah.
Well, she was. I know that. I don't know if they still are. He actually surprised me during the pandemic. He came out on the side of not anti-vaxxers, but, pro I should get to decide what goes in my body kind of thing. Yeah. And he was against lockdowns. And he took a position that surprised me, given his history.
And I'm sure the industry kind of sidelined him.
Well, I don't know if they did or not, but given his history of Hollywood activism, his position surprised me. But it does seem to me like it's in Hollywood, at least, you need to be careful. You need to be careful with anything. We should all be careful with what we say, not shooting our fucking mouths off willy-nilly and left, right, and center.
I don't have an issue with these artists and actors, more specifically, taking a political stance. I mean, they're citizens; they have every right to, right? Yep. Sometimes, though, I just find that, like you said with Susan Sarandon, you have no fucking clue. Why would you take a position if you are not well-read or knowledgeable about the topic that you're talking about?
I don't know. Just whether it's attention-seeking, virtue signaling. I don't know. Just some people can't help themselves. I can't help myself sometimes.
Yeah. No, but you're much more well-read and aware of these things than they are sometimes. But
I try not to weigh in on anything that I'm not well-read on, I think it's a good idea to learn about something before you go off half-cocked.
Exactly, yeah. I don't know. Since we're in the arts, last week, I don't know if you guys, did you guys ever listen to Les Cowboys Fringants?
No. And I didn't even know who Carl Tremblay was, and shame on me. And that speaks to the West Island Anglophone bubble. Yeah. That I live in, and I don't purposely ensconce myself in it. That's where I am, And it was huge news across the province when he passed away. And I got a note from a friend of mine, Marie, who said to me how devastated and upset she was, and I knew she listened to my show, so I said, you know what? I'm going to play one of their songs, and she had suggested one to me, and I can't remember the name of
Les Étoiles Filantes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I played that to close the show one day last week.
Beautiful song, eh?
Yeah. And I got several notes from French listeners saying thank you.
Yeah. They were.
It meant a lot to them.
They were a major band in Quebec, and even their style. It was like very folk. Sometimes even.
Well, watching them with the accordion and everything, it reminded me of what's the Montreal English band that was really big, but they kind of, I haven't heard much from them lately, and they had like a fucking glockenspiel and the husband and wife team.
Fuck, what are they called?
Anyway, I got us sidetracked, and we were paying tribute to. I'll find that, and you pay tribute to Carl Tremblay,
I know what you're talking about.
What do you want me to search?
He's under. He came under fire for sexual.
The leader of that band, Will.
Oh God!
Yeah.
What the fuck are they called?
Yeah, Montreal band Poseidon. They were really big in the early.
Well, even now, even lately. What the hell are they called? Anyone in the chat know who we're talking about? Husband and wife.
I'm gapping. Arcade Fire.
Arcade Fire. That's it. Arcade Fire. Yeah.
That's who they reminded me of. Just very briefly watching them, just like. Just to look at them with the accordion and everything like that.
No, they had a very distinguished style, very folk, sometimes like bluegrassy on some occasions.
And really resonated with Quebecers, Francophone Quebecers, really resonated.
Look, a lot of, they were very political. And obviously, I mean, a lot of their songs, they're very nationalist Quebec, and they speak about sovereignty as well. And that's okay. I mean, they're allowed to have that opinion, which I don't agree with. But in terms of the impact that they had on Quebec, I mean, and people just discovered them recently since they announced that eventually, he was on terminal cancer.
And I think he performed knowing that he was on the way out.
Last year, I think, last year they did a whole tour. It was kind of like his farewell tour.
Well, you know what? Good for him for doing that.
Yeah. And a couple shows were canceled because of his of his health.
He was weak.
Exactly. But it was huge. I think the last show they did was on the Plains of Abraham in Quebec City, and it was just fucking massive.
Yeah.
Massive, the followership that these guys had. They're very good music. We knew them, I mean, back in the day, we used to jam a lot with their songs too. I can't remember if we played some of their songs.
You play? What do you play?
The guitar. We had a Greek band, but we played. We used to play a lot of Jean Leloup, like shit like that.
Yeah, you play the guitar.
Yeah.
Never fucking bring it in here. Never.
Why? You don't like the guitar?
Are you one of those guys who shows up at a fucking campfire with your guitar?
No.
Because I'll take it out of your hands and smash it against the fucking wall, like the guys in the Juicy Fruit commercial. You ever see that?
No. What?
That's a great commercial. Look up Juicy Fruit commercial ski lodge. That's a fucking great commercial. Yeah, I've never been a fan of guys who show up with a guitar and start singing when nobody asks them to.
Out of the blue. Strapped around the thing. Hey guys, I was just around the corner.
Me neither, Ted, because then I have a really hard time hiding my erection afterwards.
Okay. This Juicy Fruit commercial from years ago. It might be from like 25,
Juicy
30
Fruit
years
has
ago.
good commercials, man.
Yeah, this one was really good because it speaks to what I'm talking about guys with fucking guitars who nobody wants to fucking listen to. No,
that's the standard one.
No, it's in a ski lodge. They're in a ski lodge.
Try to find a Juicy Fruit ski lodge.
This is it.
Yeah.
It fucking kills me.
They have skis.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay, standing by. 3, 2, 1. Juicy Fruit.
Un momento, por favor, señor.
Okay. Slowpoke Rodriguez.
Let's go.
The slowest mouse in all of Mexico.
Get your skis shined up.
This one is.
That's it? Yeah. The taste is gonna move you.
This one, they're skiing. Is it in the 80s?
It's in the lodge. It might be an 80s commercial.
Sure, it's an 80s commercial.
Yeah. They're sitting around in the ski lodge. How come I can find it?
What the fuck? How come I can't find it?
All right, it doesn't matter.
I found it.
Yay.
14 years ago.
That's it?
Yeah.
No, it's older than that. It was probably posted 14 years ago, but it's older.
Oh,
than
maybe.
that.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's it, yeah.
I'm going to lower the volume a lot, though. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah. Well, you have to hear it. Why? Because we're going to get busted if you don't.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah? Here comes Buddy. Watch. Oops, snorted. Sorry. There's actually two versions. There's another version where he grabs the guitar from him and smashes it against the fireplace. That's actually my favorite version.
That's the best.
Yeah, I like that better. That one's funny, but I like the one better where he actually smashes the shit out of the guitar. But he takes him out with
that's so fucking funny.
takes him out with a snowboard.
But yeah, no, Carl Trombley, major figure, and I don't know if his funeral happened, but there were suggestions that there be a national funeral. I think it's I think it's gonna happen.
Big deal, eh?
Yeah, but look, I mean, they were that kind of band. I mean,
Jesus, I got to get out of my fucking bubble. I should have known that. I've been living here for 35 years. How do I not know that?
But Ted, it's not your fault. I mean, I'm also very much disconnected with the Quebec cultural scene. I have no idea. I mean, I only know this because I was into the music thing, and I was interested in Quebec music, French music. So, and you know, from one artist, you kind of bounce to another, and we were very much into Jean Leloup, who still I find fucking one of the best French artists here in Quebec. And from there, you know, you kind of bounce around and you discover new things. Very influential band. And I mean, it showed, right, with the amount of praise they got after his death. And it was amazing.
Will they be able to carry on without him?
I don't know.
He was the lead singer, right?
Yeah.
Was he also the main songwriter?
I think him and his wife.
Man, it's pretty tough.
They were.
It's like the Tragically Hip without Gord Downie. It's just you can't do it. You can't do it.
Sometimes, you know, maybe that's just a sign that look, okay, that's what we had to do. Let's close this chapter and. That's you know, les Cambouins Fringants. Like sometimes you can't exist. I mean, that's who they are. It's the group, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how can you recreate it without an original band member? I mean, certain bands have done it. I mean, so many have had.
Well, without some original, like the Rolling Stones, without Bill Wyman playing bass, you know, as long as they got Keith and Mick, you know, probably even without Charlie Watts now, who's gone, they're still
touring.
They're still.
But
doing
you're right.
stuff.
I mean,
but without Mick, it ain't going to work without Mick.
No, of course
it
not.
might even work without Keith.
You think?
You know, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But Mick is the voice is the signature.
The fact that these guys are still fucking touring and singing, man. This guy, how old is he? He's like probably
80. Close to it. If he's not there,
he's on
the doorstep. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they don't need. They don't need the money. I guess they just do it because they love it.
No, for them, it's the lifestyle. These guys were born to do rock and roll, and they are the representation of what it meant to be a rocker. It's the music, man.
Paul McCartney and Ringo both still tour independently as well. Terry saw McCartney in Seattle last year and said it was just terrific.
Yeah.
Said it was just amazing.
Paul McCartney is a fucking genius, man. Yeah. He's great.
He loves the fans as much as they love him. I think that's part of what makes it so magical with him. Like he just he loves it. You know, he loves them.
Have you seen that episode of James Corden? You know, he used the car thing, karaoke thing,
karaoke,
and the carpool karaoke. Yeah, and he had
McCartney.
He had Paul McCartney, and they were going around in London,
Liverpool, weren't they? Were they not in Liverpool?
Yeah, they were
where McCartney grew up.
Yeah, in Liverpool. Sorry.
Yeah.
And they were going around all these things, and I love that kind of stuff where he was explaining, you know, what influenced what song, and they went to see his house where he grew up in, and then they did kind of like this surprise show at a pub, and people went fucking nuts.
No doubt.
Bananas.
No doubt.
It's crazy.
Imagine
I
you're
love
sitting in a pub in Liverpool and fucking McCartney. I wouldn't smash his guitar. Put that fucking thing away, McCartney. I'm trying to have a beer.
Dumbass.
Didn't fucking come here.
Where'd you come from?
Didn't come here to listen to you.
Put the radio back on. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're gonna end. We're gonna wrap up the episode. Nice to see you guys. I missed you. Honestly, last week I felt like fuck. It felt like forever. But it happened.
Okay, calm down.
Well, if I don't have the gout, I'll be back next week.
All right, very cool. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Next week, this just in: Ted Bird has AIDS.
I got wood. Head on over to patreon.com/Pantelis. Subscribe over there. So much content being put out over there. And subscribe on this page, YouTube, the Pantelis Comedy Network YouTube page, with so many different podcasts being produced, among which you can find the Standing By the Terry and Ted podcast every Wednesday morning, new episodes. The Poseidon 69 on all social media platforms, and you can follow what I do at the Backstage Podcast and Politiquement Parlant if you speak or understand French. Thank you all so very much. We'll see you all next week.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share everything with your family, your friends, your cats, your dogs.